All right. I'm just gonna go live, I guess. Which is a, you know what? I've done this before. It was a mistake. It was a mistake last time. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope my air conditioner isn't too loud. I'm gonna double check my audio just because. This one was a little bit. You know what? I've done this. There we go. This one was a little bit delayed. I it's been a heavy week. Not gonna lie. It's been a little heavy, and so last night I had set up to do a live stream. I kind of just have a lot of stuff going on in my head, but I just felt like I'd be too kind of scattered. I also have a new setup, so I'm gonna try this out. Let me know if everything's working. Shout out to my buddy Scott for the new camera, so we're gonna test this out. But it also, like, all kinds of like audio stuff got messed up again. So anyway, I'm trying out here. Okay, I'm gonna try not to shout. Sounds that looks loud to me. All right, the curious case of a Christian Russel Brand. I'm kind of doing this right now, partly because I just came off of a Grim Grizz live stream. I was hanging out over there, and I think Grizz is on the fence about Russell Brand. I'm not sure I really got a sense of what Grizz feels about this. So, but it does seem like it's generating some interesting commentary. I'll tell you what I think. You tell me what you think, and then we will move on from there. Sorry, I distracted myself again. Okay, I did that wrong. Okay, so we are live. We're good. Nobody panic. I'm not panicked. Nobody panic. Are you panicked? I'm not panicked. I do have my AC in the background. We're not there yet. All right, so this is Daniel V. Babylon. I don't really know this guy's account. I just, I'm going to be a little bit more, what's the word, generous about how do you, Russell gets baptized. His conversion to Christianity is sort of this very public thing. And now you have people just sort of going, oh, okay, how do we know someone's sort of conversion or whatever it might be is, thank you, waves of mutilation. Thank you. It's good to be live. So you have Christian people, and probably well-meaning Christian people, or at least online they claim to be Christian people, then looking at Russell Brand's conversion and going, is he really a Christian? And so we're figuring out how to do church online. We're figuring out what all of this means. How would you, sort of gauge whether someone's conversion is genuine or whether this person is just sort of jumping on the bandwagon or something like that? I mean, it seems an odd bandwagon to jump on, doesn't it? Aren't Christians ridiculous? Aren't you going to be ridiculed in sort of the public eye if you get baptized and become a Christian? Well, it seems strange because Russell and Jordan Peterson is sort of on the fringe, and others, right? There's this whole kind of conglomerate of people who maybe they're just playing to kind of the Christian audience. I don't know. But I thought this was an interesting comment from Daniel V. Babylon. Sorry, but I'm not buying it. Not any of it. None of the conversions, none of the posts by him or others. It's getting weirder by the second, and it's part of Satan's false light BS. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. That's out there. Their Jesus is not my Jesus. That's a possibility. I mean, let's be honest. Like, none of us have the same view of who Jesus is. That's why we need a priesthood of all believers. That's why we need a communion of the saints. That's why we need to come together under the authority of the Word, which has been revealed to us by God. I'm saying it now. This is false Jesus. So there you go. Just like Grim Grizz, I think maybe we get the sense of where Daniel V. Babylon is on Russel Brand, and yet you can see Clint Russell's post right below that. What do you do with this? Jordan Peterson and Russel Brand close in prayer with the Lord's Prayer. So whether good or ill, if the gospel is being preached, for that I rejoice. Is that where we are? Is that where we are? Now, again, it's like, is Daniel, how do I know that Daniel is a Christian? Like all I'm doing is interacting with this guy on the internet, and all he's doing is interacting with Russel Brand on the internet, but he's going to say, in some ways, now he's not saying, Daniel V. Babylon is not quite saying this, but he's saying, he's sort of a true follower of Jesus, and Russel Brand is maybe some sort of charlatan, So how do we know Daniel is not the charlatan and Russell is not the genuine convert to Christianity? Well, of course, you judge a tree by its fruit, don't you? That was kind of part of this conversation. I am going to do a separate podcast, I think, on this. It was an interesting conversation. It wasn't even really a conversation between Jordan Peterson and Russel Brand at the Rescue the Republic. What was that? Rally, I guess is what it was. They sort of just, in a way, spun off of each other, but they really were kind of having their own. They kind of did their own monologues, just sort of back and forth to each other. It was curious. It was a curious moment, but of course, then everybody is sort of dwelling on this moment here. It's funny that Jordan. What do you do with that? What do you do with an image like that? Is that genuine? How do you judge? Do you judge? Is it even? It's not even my responsibility if I know you in person to kind of say whether or not you are a true believer. I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt. I've been in Christian ministry for 25 years or more. I've been a Christian for a little bit longer than that. There's literally only one person that I've ever come across in my life that I was like, I don't think you buy this. I don't think you actually believe this. You believe something, but I don't think it's Jesus. I don't know. Yeah, so what would the missionary test be? Of course, the missionary test narrows the modern claimants to Christianity to a tiny minority. Yeah, I think that I'm optimistic. I think a lot more people are Christians than people think. Maybe I can't see a man's heart, but I'm kind of like Paul was with Mark. Could I trust him to do missionary work with me in Sudan or Haiti? Could I trust him? Yeah. Yeah. So Waves is saying it's unlikely to be a genuine conversion. Why? Yeah. Curious about that. Why would you think that? What is it about Russel Brand's conversion that makes people feel like it's not genuine? And again, I think Grizz is on the fence. I don't know. I could quote what Grizz says in his live stream, but maybe I'll wait. I'll share the link. I'll clip it. I'll put it on X. I thought it was really good. Yeah, Grizz is pretty clear on how he feels about Russel Brand. So I have talked about this before, but I have a whole bookmark thing about Russel Brand because I was curious about his conversion myself. And again, looking at this from the standpoint of the church, and when I say the church, really, I should be more clear that I mean the invisible church, the church the way God sees the church, not the church institution, not the institutional church that we often come up against, come in contact with, the sort of the structure. Now, there are times when I think the institutional church is helpful. There are times when the institutional church is not helpful. In fact, I got so many things going on in my head. Another one would be this podcast with Joe Rogan. They go into this moment where they start talking about missionaries. And of course, I was a missionary for a number of years. And are they genuine missionaries that they're coming up against? I keep saying that. When I say against, I don't mean in an antagonistic way. I mean coming up into contact with this person. Are they genuine missionaries? At one point, he says that they're working for the oil company, or that the oil company has sponsored them. And so the missionaries go in there ahead of the oil companies to get these people who are living in tribes out of the way. Well, then they're not missionaries, because that's not what a missionary does. Maybe they're claiming to be missionaries, but they're not acting like missionaries. And so what would we call them? Well, I think Daniel is calling it out. Grizz is calling it out. It's sort of wolves in sheep's clothing. But like I said, in 25 years of ministry, there's only one person I've ever come across that I thought, yeah, I think this person might be a wolf in sheep's clothing. So I think more often than not, I give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's just, I'm not terribly optimistic in most of my life, but when it comes to people just saying, hey, I believe in Jesus, great. You believe in Jesus. Yeah, okay. And so to James's point here, and I'll read a few more comments. I'd love to get more feedback on this, because this is the curious case of the Christian Russel Brand live stream. And Russel Brand then becomes just a person that we are. He's an archetype, not an archetype. He's sort of an example of what I think the church, the Christian church, is going to have to understand moving forward. How does the church operate? How does the church exist? How does the church do community? How does the church welcome in and celebrate with people who are a million miles away, and yet they're claiming the same Jesus as you are? How do you say, yes, Russel Brand is part of my tribe? I don't know. Or do we like Daniel push back and say, no, this is not my person. These are not my people. I don't know. Russell will explore Christian diversity as part of conversion. So to James's point, I think that's what we're seeing. I think Russel Brand, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Chris Williamson, many of these other, Tucker Carlson to some extent, and then I'm going to rip something that Grizz talked about as well. I might get to this. Is that are all these people part of some psyop, or is it part of a genuine revival that for whatever reason these people are at least they're sort of either overtly Christian, or they are kind of advocating for a cultural Christianity, which I think Jordan Peterson would be that more. Russel Brand's Christian experience will not be like the normie Western evangelical Christian experience, and he will push against that. And I don't know for sure, but when I hear reactions like from Daniel v. Babylon, that sounds like kind of a normie Christian reaction to like say, oh, Russel Brand is kind of a mystic, and that's not my Christianity. Well, I hate to break it to you. If the Bible was revealed to us from the mind of God, then mystic you are. Like that's going to have to be part of it. It's going to be divine revelation you're going to have to touch the mystery. You're going to have to touch that which is, and mysticism is maybe the wrong thing, but something like that. Okay. And I'll share some of these clips here in just a second, but I wanted to catch up to some of this some of the chatter. Yeah, it's complicated, right? I mean, it definitely is. Private companies and even the CIA doesn't sponsor missionaries. It doesn't mean they're not real missionaries, but the agents will take advantage, like in Nicaragua. I'm not familiar with Nicaragua, but yeah, I mean, they could take advantage of what the missionaries are already doing. But within this, and again, I'll do a more in-depth podcast on it. But they were talking about how they were pulling people away from their tribe, and that would be not something that a missionary would do, pull somebody out of their tribe and try to bring them into town to like station them into town, in town and away from their families. Yeah, pray for him and watch. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, there's no way to know. And so, and because of that, and like with Mark, what Mark is saying, like, but we live in this sort of like internet captured attention world, and it is unfortunate. I mean, hopefully this podcast isn't contributing to it. That was part of the reason why I delayed. I didn't do my Tuesday live stream. I just felt like there was a lot of noise out there, and I didn't want to be a part of the noise. I want to be a part of a conversation, but is there something we can learn from looking at Russel Brand's life that would help us Christians, help the church moving forward, help the church understand what we're doing in digital space? I mean, I think Paul Vanderklay even had a couple of tweets recently that seemed to make me think he's kind of there. Russel Brand is not a mystic. I don't know. I guess define mystic. He is. He has tendencies. All right. Let's see. So if you go back to like February, some of these are out of order, and I'm not sure why. I think I started taking bookmarks later on, but yeah. Okay. So in February of this year, Russel Brand had stumbled upon. Speaking of mystic, he had stumbled upon a book. Let's check this out.
All know that story. He demands the return of the prodigal son. That's what I'm reading right now. But you won't believe how I got my hands on this book. I went to a Catholic church, the Sacred Heart in Henley, and I was given this book by a priest. I've been reading it. It's fascinating. It's based on this painting by Rembrandt of the return of the prodigal son. We all know that story. He demanded his inheritance. He left home. He spent it in a crazy lifestyle, hedonism and indulgence, then returned broken to his father. Here, depicted in the painting somewhat anachronistically, is the elder brother. Because in this analysis by Henry Nouwen, a Dutch priest, you receive three perspectives on the fascinating story of the prodigal son. The returning son asking for forgiveness, the elder son and his jealousy and pettiness, and the father and his constant benign love. When I read this story, because of the humanity of the man writing it, and because of the version of this story in Luke, I started to feel the reality of Christ and the reality of Christ's love. How can such archetypal truths exist both in text and now, thanks to the great Rembrandt, apparently a complicated man, also in the form of a magnificent painting? We'll talk about this book in more detail on our platform. Join us there, become a supporter, support our movement while we awaken together in the holy name of our Father, in the holy name of us all. Join us there, stay free and awaken together.
So people will probably go, in the holy name of us all. Now this is from February. I wouldn't agree with in the holy name of us all. Certainly not. If you go back, he's asking people, this was in March. So he stumbles upon Henry Nouwen
the return
February.
Of the prodigal.
Henry Nouwen, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of a mystical, sort of had a mystical approach. I mean, certainly sort of in the vein of Desert Fathers and looking at some of those practices that I would say like maybe we've lost some of that mystery, I guess. Maybe I sort of put Nouwen in that camp, and maybe he's not quite there the way I think, but it does definitely seem like something of a spiritual mystic to me. Certainly a Christian person, I would, based off of what I've read. But then he's asking this, right? Okay, so out of these books, all right, Crime and Punishment, sort of, part of the Western canon, maybe. Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis, part of the evangelical, Protestant evangelical, maybe not quite. And then the autobiography of a yogi. So there you go. maybe, sort of, again, my point would be that whatever Russell's Christian experience is, whatever Joe Rogan's Christian experience is, whatever Jordan Peterson's Christian experience is, whatever Chris Williams is, these podcasters that are, and my theory is, when you engage in the word, when you follow the Logos, I mean, forgive me, John Vervaeke, not a Christian necessarily, but said some very interesting things in his recent podcast with Jordan Peterson that had to do with his experience going through the Gospels. He taught John Vervaeke, is he? I don't know what John Vervaeke is, but he is, sort of, I don't want to say Buddhist, but maybe that's what it is. I get some of that from him, but I can't say for sure. I can't speak for John Vervaeke because I haven't heard anything in particular where he's come out and said, this is my frame of reference. But as John Vervaeke reminisced on the Gospels and the person of Christ, one of the things he said is that he's a follower of the Logos, that he is a devotee of the Logos, of the Word, and that has brought him back, not back, but it reawakened a desire in him for the person of Christ in some ways. I should go find that and not put words in his mouth, but that was what's up, Cycle? Good to see you. And I'm sorry if I have not caught up to the chat. Hope everybody is doing well. But yeah, this one was... So my point about that, I mean, I guess I could go find it and put it somewhere later so you guys know what I'm talking about. But my point about bringing John Vervaeke up was that it seems like people who follow the Logos end up finding Jesus, which makes sense. He's the Word made flesh, right? All right, is this part of the government plan all along, using missionaries, following missionaries? Well, I'll tell you this: when I was doing missionary work, we would often move on, and there were people who came in after us, and so we would have to go. We would always have to sort of circle back to tribes and places we've been. Definitely, if you're part of any death squad, you're not acting out of love and forgiveness. Certainly. All right. Hey, thanks, Waves. I'm glad you're studying some theology and reading the Bible. Thank you. We'll have fun. For sure. It might have to be a little bit of a truncated, short stream tonight. I gotta make sure I can get my kids to sleep and what have you. So, hope everybody's doing well. So that's part of Russell's journey, is going to be coming out of mysticism, finding Henry Nouwen, finding, March 19th. Let's go. Let's start from the beginning.
Going to church, a church where they do. I've been going to church, a church where they do alpha courses. I guess that's sort of Church of England. I've been to a Catholic church, and I'm considering going to a Eastern Orthodox church. Do you think the different denominations and distinctions are important when you look at God and the figure of Christ from, as best as one might claim, a universal perspective?
So, and I think that this is part of the question that the church is asking. I mean, I hang out. Oh, okay. So sorry. Hang with me on the sort of ADD front here. John Vervaeke stated at multiple instances that he is a non-theist. Thank you, Upcycle, for that. I know he does talk about maybe Buddhism or sort of like an Eastern mysticism. I don't know if it's Buddhism, Hinduism, or something else, or maybe all of those things. But he brings in that part of the conversation, and oftentimes I find it helpful, and I say that as a Christian person. I'm not going to agree with all of it. Particularly the thing that I end up disagreeing with is just like the creature creator distinction. It's just like I'm not God. Like that's where, But listen to Russell again. He's talking about what church he goes to in different denominations, and as we have these discussions online, I'm meeting with people who are Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, and various denominations, talking with people who are Jewish, talking with people who are non-theist, atheist, and I love it. Like, I love that we have access to each other. I think the internet early on brought out the worst in people. I think it still does bring out the worst in people sometimes, but it does feel like we are maturing a little bit and maybe finding our feet a little bit with how to. It's just not fun to be a troll on the internet. Like, I mean, sometimes it's fun to be a troll on the internet, but a person who like really cares. Like, when I troll, it's, for comedy, for fun, for the memes.
Of Christ from, as best as one might claim, a universal perspective, if you feel that you can be universal on a subject like kindness or service or surrender or gratitude or overcoming the self or understanding that what you're experiencing in the moment, even if it is suffering, is God's will. I know that there are numerous distinctions, ecclesiastical and ontological, but I feel that at the moment I'm moving towards a kind of moment of baptism. I mean, are you baptized? Did you get baptized as an adult? Like, would you do it in a river? Would you do it in a font? Do you want to get fully under that? Because me, I want River Jordan or River Thames at worst. I want proper plunging and Tell me, what is the importance of the church? And tell me, is it important what church you go to? Because I'm just learning, man. I'm just learning. And if I don't get clear guidance, I'll have to make a decision just sort of based on what pedal I'm on. So Orthodox, Catholic, Anglican, Presbyterian, Methodist, Pentecostal,
Yeah.
Let me know.
Calvinists are going to jump in on that. I don't know.
Routine.
We'll see.
I wake up, I do some tapping, I get right into the tapping. I use Nick Ortner's Tapping Solutions app. It's brilliant. After the tapping, I pray the rosary every single day. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. As you know, I love Wim Hof. I love the cold. I plunge myself into the cold every single day. I experience that rush and that awakening. The skin is turned on and I am awakened. Every day I pray on my knees. As a person in recovery, I pray what is known as the 3rd step prayer, the 7th step prayer, the Lord's Prayer, the St. Francis of Assisi prayer, a brilliant prayer on fear that I recently learned from a great teacher of mine. And if you want that prayer, let me know in the chat and I'll post it for you. It's a beautiful prayer.
I was just going to ask if you're sensing any grift here. Now, the post a comment, the post a comment does feel bad. Post a comment and I will tell you this secret thing. Ooh, that does feels bad.
You'll love it. I write a gratitude list every single day. And the more I feel like I'm not grateful, the more things I try to put on that list.
But again, okay, so okay, and I think about this in the context of being sort of a missionary, okay, sort of digital missionary. What you would want to boost engagement, right? You don't want to be online. You don't want to like, if I'm sharing, like if Russel Brand is sharing this, he's sharing it because he cares and he wants people to hear it, right? I'm sharing this because I want people to hear it. I don't want to go online and share my ideas and have nobody listen. I want somebody to listen and go, oh, that's really interesting, or oh, that was really silly, Pete. Like figure your life out. And I listen to those. Like, I hear those comments and I try to keep up with the live stream chat. But yeah, you're going to want to, like, in a sense, understand the algorithm. I do this with YouTube, or I try to, how to make sure my video finds the right person. But is that, what do you call it? It's just sort of just engagement farming, or I don't know what you call that. I need to figure out my lingo. Is that LARPing or is that grifting? Grifting is sort of LARP, or is it something else? Is it grifting, LARPing, or something else? Let me know. Mary is not to be, and here we go, there we go. Mary is not to be prayed to, says Rainy? Did I say it right? Let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, and that's where definitely Catholics and Protestants would disagree. I think that there's something there that I have not explored enough to say what my opinion is, thank you, I could give you my knee-jerk reaction and just say, yeah, I agree. I don't pray to Mary. I just don't. I'm a Reformed Christian. I try to have a Reformed approach. And I've said this before, but one of the reasons why I feel like I can hang out in the Reformed camp is the idea that we are Reformed and always reforming. I don't hang out in the camp that says, hey, we reformed and we got it all right. I go, that's not, like, let's keep working, guys. Like, let's keep after it. It was good. Like, let's build on that though. So yeah, the recovery side of things. I mean, if you go back on my channel, I did one, I might have done 2 podcasts where the last time Russell was on Joe Rogan, they talked extensively about this. And that was one of the things that kind of clued me in to Russell's sort of spiritual journey or awakening, or however you want to categorize that. It's back a ways, but let me see if I can find a link, because I think it would be important. And you know what? I need to make sure that I leave the live stream chat on post video, right? That's the way we want to do this. We don't want the live stream to end. And for people that come back and watch the VOD, the video on demand, as it were. Let me see. I'm going to grab that link. But you can go all the way back to about a year ago on this channel and see the Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson conversation, where, again, that piece, that recovery piece came up a lot. We summoned the general. I'm gonna say your whole title wrong. So I feel like if I do that, I will be excommunicated, and I can't do that. But we've summoned Grizz. Grizz, I felt like you were not clear on your position about Russel Brand, and we need clarification. I feel like you're still on the fence about Russel Brand, but we're doing the deep dive here. No, check out Grizz's live stream. I think he I don't know. Do you have strong feelings about Russel Brand? Would you say your feelings about Russel Brand are strong? So we did his thing. So what he did was he ended up picking up, out of these books, he ended up picking up Mere Christianity. There you go. What you see and what you hear depends a great deal on where you are standing, C.S. Lewis. I always associated that quote with Jonathan Pageau, but that's just me. All right. And, do we want to listen to this part?
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Prayer by St. Francis of Assisi. Hello, and welcome to Awaken with Russel Brand. Is that what we call it? Stay awake. Hello, and welcome to Stay Awake with Russel Brand, where we meditate together as a community. And what could be better than finding a limitless connection? We offered you the opportunity to vote for one of 2 prayers. Now we will do a meditation based on...
So you had to go vote. You had to go vote. Okay, watch Russel Brand's Messiah Complex. Now, here's my question, Grizz. How long ago was that? Okay, so because I started the live stream by saying I'm going to give Russel Brand the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say I'm on the side of saying, we, the church, part of the invisible church, followers of Jesus, however you want to define that. We're sitting here going, okay, what's going on with our community? There seems to be maybe a revival going on. Maybe that's just a deep state ploy. I don't know. But it will take the community of the saints. It'll take the priesthood of all believers for us to sift this thing out. Because, of course, institutions have used the church before. The well-meaning Christian people have been taken in by some wolves in sheep's clothing, maybe. And so how long ago, if I go back and watch this Messiah Complex, how long ago was it? And has Russell sort of, if his conversion is genuine, if he is a Christian, how far along in the sanctification process are we, Because I still got all kinds of stuff I need to work on. Just ask my kids, man. Like, drive in a car with me for a little while and realize, yeah, I've been a Christian for 25 years. Man, some of this isn't sticking very well. I might have a visitor here. Welcome, General Griff. I actually, just so you guys know, and this isn't really a grift or whatever grift. I don't get the words right. I am going to do a members only live stream after this. I want to sort through some stuff that I'm thinking about this Asheville incident, and I need to do that, I think, on a members live stream. And I want to use the members section a little bit more and use it. I need to figure out an efficient way to continue podcasting. I'll just be honest that life is crazy and I want to continue to do this. But it's so funny. Once you step away for a little bit and like IRL gets busy, you go back and you're like, gosh, do I have the energy to podcast right now? I don't even know if I do. And then you jump on a Grim Grizz live stream and you go, oh yeah, I love this. Yeah, here we go. And then I jump on, and then now we're back, baby. But it's hard. So thank you for the member. I follow Jesus and I can pray for Russell. That's where we go. And again, we're not, and I do this with Joe Rogan as well. Like I'm not necessarily trying to focus on Joe Rogan or Russel Brand, but I think they are a type of person. They represent hundreds of thousands of people, maybe. And this goes back actually to a principle that we see in Socrates in the Republic. He says if you look at the way a city is functioning, you can look at how the soul of humanity is functioning. And so I take these podcasters as kind of like that we see what's going on in the world of podcasting, and you can get a sense of what's going on in the soul of humanity. Now, is it a genuine revival, or is it some, sort of manufactured thing? That's what we're talking about. And maybe there is genuine revival, but it's going on over here. And these guys are pointing out something over here. Was I too loud there? Sorry. My ears will work again in 10. Was I talking about you too much? Or was I just screaming too much into the microphone? I apologize. Too clever for Christianity? Try looking at it from another perspective.
As you know, I've been thinking a lot more about Christianity. And what I feel like is a lot of people feel like they're maybe too clever for Christianity, like it's full of parables and fables and inconsistencies. But what I'm starting to recognise is that a personal relationship with an indwelling creator is helping me to look at reality from an entirely different perspective.
Okay. It is filled with a bunch of stories and fables, but does that mean it has a bunch of inconsistencies? No, I think that we need to understand the way God has revealed Scripture to us. We modern post-Enlightenment intellectuals want it to be a sanitary sort of outline. Give me the book report. Give me the history lesson. And God chose to reveal himself, in nature, in Scripture, which is narrative. It's all kinds of it's discourse. It's all kinds. It's parables. It is that. And then chose to reveal himself in the person of Christ. And yeah, I think that's part of what we're waking up to is refinding the fact that we live in a left brain centric world, right? And so story really requires both, I think, hemispheres. And we need to refine a way of using that right hemisphere to understand what Scripture is really doing.
That rational and material reality are only one facet of total reality. And in the same way that we know we can only see a small section of the electromagnetic light range, while there are other types of light, ultraviolet and infrared, available, and whilst we're aware that there are only certain vibrations that are perceptible to us, I believe that the spiritual perspective makes us sensitive to realities that we cannot otherwise discern. That a relationship with an inborn creator present in us that gifts us the ability to access God at any time means that life is literally turned on its head. What are your experiences? Do you come at this from the Christian perspective, from the Muslim, from Judaism, secular humanitarianism? Let me know. Well, I would normally say below, but from this perspective, it's above. And you see how reality changes. Stay free.
I mean, I kind of like that. I like the humor. I like the self-owns sometimes. He did that with his Tucker Carlson interview. Tucker said, what brought you What brought you here? What started you on this spiritual journey? And he just said mental illness. It's like, that's great. Making Jesus.
Just
We
the
won't go through
voice
all
of
of these,
Jesus, and then maybe no voice at all. You might be familiar. Tell me, let me know. I'm really interested to know what you think. With a constant, incessant, ongoing voice in your head, always telling you stuff. Oh no, don't do that. Why'd that person say that? Oh, I'd like that. Oh, I don't like this. I like them. Essentially, the ongoing scripture of selfishness, narcissism, the theology of preference. I prefer this. I am adverse to that. That becomes the religion. It occurred to me that if instead of always talking to myself inwardly, which I do inadvertently without effort, I could replace one of those voices with an indwelling God, Jesus Christ, for example. And so when I'm saying, oh, I want this, I'm not good enough, I need that, I'm scared of this, I want that, why won't these people do that? That the voice that's...
Can I replace one of those voices with Jesus? I guess my answer is no, you can't, but can the Holy Spirit indwell us? Yeah. So there's gonna, and again, here's what's funny is I think, going back to sort of the Daniel v. Babylon, this sort of, there are going to be people who their take on Russel Brand is he doesn't have it all figured out. And I said this earlier, like when you are converted to Christianity, when you become a follower of Christ, you don't get converted to perfect theology. Like my theology is a mess. It's still a mess, even though I've taken, decades of my life to try to sort it out. And that's why we need community. That's why we need each other. And yeah, are you vulnerable to letting some people in who are going to abuse you? We always are. But are we willing to tolerate the type of abuse that is sort of the wolf in sheep's clothing type of person? The potential of a person who says, yeah, I'm a follower of Jesus just like you, but deep down inside they're just abusing that for whatever purpose they might have. I don't know. That feels gross. I don't want that. But would it not be better to accept that person with all of their misconceptions and all their fears and all their whatever is motivating them to play that kind of game? Wouldn't it be better to accept them in, and by doing that, not excluding all the other people who are around? I should have the Bible available, and I don't, and I apologize for that. But Jesus does this. He finds the people who are on the fringes. He does things that would probably offend the sensitivities of a lot of maybe modern normie evangelical types, where he like, how many times is Jesus just like chilling with a woman by himself? Like, that's like ministry 101 for guys, is like never be alone with a woman. Well, Jesus went to the well, and then the disciples show up and they're like, what are you doing here with this girl? Like, what are you doing here with this woman by yourself? And I guess Jesus can break that rule. We shouldn't break that rule, but Jesus does. So like, and then I think of the woman caught in adultery. Where are your accusers? She says, they're gone. He says, neither do I condemn you, but go and sin no more. That would so people want if Russell's going to become a Christian, he needs to be converted into right theology. And by right theology, I mean my theology. That's not going to happen. That's just not the way it's going to be. All right. We're going to move on. This was Russel's baptism. Moving on. I thought this was interesting. Again, how much can you read of that? But, Bear Grylls is a person that, according to Russell's testimony, was an important part of his transformation, his conversion. And I think I'm grateful that Bear is with me. There you go. So Bear Grylls gets a shout out. And then it seems like a lot of people think Bear Grylls is a Christian. So if Bear Grylls is, and Bear Grylls is a friend of Russell, there you go. You have that contact. Okay, so going through Easter, he's got Jesus hanging up there. Okay, so March 9th, Jesus is hanging up there. He's reading the Bible. March 30th. Sorry, these are out of order. But April 16th, he pulls out the tarot cards, or whatever these cards are. Maybe that's not tarot. It's like, you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like it. He's like reading the Bible one day and tarot cards the next. You know, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it happened. All right, praying the rosary. God, I thought we were getting to his baptism. And here you go. Like, here's one of his, like, if you suffer from fear and anxiety, try this prayer. Okay, so he's just like, now, and this is where people are going to look at Russell and say, okay, pump the brakes. You're not some sort of spiritual leader. You're not some sort of, you know, particularly not a Christian leader or a pastor. But then my question is, like, I did a whole podcast on the scandal with this last pastor that, you know, got caught in scandal. The unlikely awakening preacher, and you know, Steve Lawson, who I think is his name, Steve Lawson. Anyway, like, what do you want? What do we want? Do we want the Russel Brand, who isn't ready to be sort of a Christian leader, or do we want a Steve Lawson? I think I'm getting the name right, who appears to be a Christian leader but certainly isn't. Like, and so what are we left with? Well, I guess we're left with turning our attention to Jesus, which might be a signal for us to wrap up this live stream. I don't know. So I appreciate that. Like, what, you know, in a world where we are participating with the communion of the saints, I look at this and I go, oh, thanks, Russell. Thanks for sharing. Because, you know, priesthood of all believers. Can I learn something from Russel Brand? Of course I can. Yeah. So here's his baptism, taking the plunge.
Okay, I'm taking the plunge. I'm getting baptized. At the moment, I'm very curious as to what you who have been baptized feel about it, what your expectations are of the event prior, and what it's actually like. What's been explained to me is it's an opportunity to die and be reborn, an opportunity to leave the past behind and be reborn in Christ's name, like it says in Galatians, that you can live as an enlightened and awakened person. Sometimes I think of non-Christian perspectives on it, like Marcus Aurelius saying, you are already dead, now live the rest of your life properly, or the Buddhist saying, put down the corpse. All of these things seem so inviting and beautiful. I know a lot of people are sort of cynical about the increasing interest in Christianity and the return to God, but to me it's obvious. As meaning deteriorates in the modern world, as our value systems and institutions crumble, all of us become increasingly aware that there is this eerily familiar awakening and beckoning figure that we've all known all of our lives within us and around us. And for me it's very exciting. One of my concerns is I'm thinking about doing it in the River Thames. So I could be getting sort of baptised in toxoplasmosis and E. coli based on what I've learned. So I may be leaving behind the sins, but I might be picking up some pretty serious viruses. Let me know what you guys think about it and how you feel about it. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, death, it's sort of this mix, right? It's like he nails it with the death and new life. And then brings in other perspectives. Now, I guess, like, as I've thought about this, and I keep referencing the communion of the saints because of something Paul Vanderklay said in a live stream a couple weeks ago. As I think about communion of the saints, as I think about priesthood of all believers, as I think about church, however, you know, sort of mysteriously doing church in using digital tools, if that's even possible, And with that, so communion of the saints, priesthood of all believers, I also think of like common grace, like and I studied classical works of philosophy, literature, and stuff like that. Those are classics. They're not canon in the biblical sense of canon, but they're classics, and they've endured time because they touched on something of the truth. If they didn't, they would not have endured. But are all of them all truth? I mean, Nietzsche is touching on something, but he's also really off in other places, as he attempts to sort of follow his philosophical conclusions to kind of a chaotic end there. And so as Russell brings in these other, references, is that sort of a syncretism, or are we touching on common grace, the fact that the truth is out there, and even people who might be antagonistic to the person of Christ do stumble upon that truth time and time again, because it's there, it's in reality. Again, the Word is made flesh. And again, Donnie, I guess this used to be Donnie Darkin, Donnie Discerned. I haven't actually followed his account in a while. Again, sort of a criticism of this. What Russell is really saying, not choosing baptism because he sees Jesus as the only begotten Son of God, or the exclusive path to salvation. Instead, he views Jesus as one possible way among many. I don't know that I caught that from Russell, but here he is again. I think those are tarot cards. I don't know because I don't do that. But we'll lump this in with Donnie. Grizz is telling us his Christianity is a definitive performative contradiction. But how so? How do we know? How do we know it's a contradiction? Where do we see the contradiction? I'm very curious about this, Grizz. I need to know. You know better than I do, so I need to learn from you. Okay. Got baptized. We kind of get it. He got baptized, and then he starts praying. He did this with Tucker Carlson. He does it again with Jordan Peterson. We kind of started here, and so this is
Nations for glory, self, and God. I'm a person out of celebrity and show business and entertainment and performing and showing off for a living. It's so easy to want the glory. It's so easy to return to self. It's all...
Is that what you're talking about, Grizz? He is a performer. He's going to perform. Performers got to perform.
So easy to want attention. I'm participating in other people's lives, other people's campaign, getting involved in an election in a country that I'm not even from, because there are matters that I consider to be really important. What I have to abide by, what I have to be obedient to, is the principle of all glory going unto him. And I reckon that's one of the big...
All right, Grizz. What? I don't know. What... Are you sniffing deceit there?
Biggest challenges I face, because I like approval. I like people to like me and want me and care about me. But when I'm reminded that there is only an audience of one right now, even right now, I'm not talking to anybody but Jesus, a kind of liberation comes over me. When I accept that I don't change myself through endeavor, I am changed by him, I experience a great liberty and a great freedom. Also, it means that like criticism and attacks and all those things don't matter. As long as I know that I'm in relationship with him, with my Lord and with my Saviour, I'm liberated and free. No wonder people try and shut down Christianity, because it frees people, and free people ain't easy to control, baby. That's the only ambition worth having. Glory unto him, baby. That's the only, because it frees people, and free people ain't easy to control, baby. That's the...
Free people ain't easy to control. And Christianity is... difficult, if not impossible, to destroy. As G.K. Chesterton said, Christianity has died 1,000 times and has risen again because it has a God who knows the way out of the grave. As I say that as I show you a picture of Russell in his underwear. So what do you do for Christianity? If you can't destroy it, you have to try to convince people that they are doing Christianity when they're not. And they think, this is what Christianity is. Nope. Okay. So, now we can go to Russell in his underwear. Sorry about that. Awkward timing. Let's see. So, this is where we are. This is current. When I first heard this, it was like, oh my gosh, is Russell doing baptisms? That seems a little bit like a little too much, a little too far, too fast. You become a Christian, and then you start administering baptisms.
I suppose looking at it now, it does look a bit immodest, me doing a baptism in underpants like that. But the truth is, I took off my clothes, and my underpants is all I'm wearing underneath my clothes. That's what I'm wearing right now. It wasn't a planned photo shoot. Some of my mates took photos for their friend, actually, Evan, who was getting baptised. Peace out, brother Evan, along with Joe, the Church of the Two Swans. Anyway, some people thought it was a little immodest and me showing off, judging from the comments. You know, I read the comments below. But what I'd say is this. I am a little bit of a show-off. The Lord made me a little bit of a show-off, but it is for him that I am showing off now.
Okay, Grizz. I mean, I guess I'm not trying to, play devil's advocate. I'm just trying to discern here. It almost seems like he's owning what you're saying. Like he is kind of like that.
Not for me. And check out this passage from Philippians. It is
Philippians. See, he doesn't say it right. He doesn't know that that's not really the name. I kind of like that.
true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am put here for the defence of the gospel. The former preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing they can stir up for trouble for me while I'm in chains. That's Paul, Apostle Paul's writing this while he's all banged up and chained up. But what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. I think that is so beautiful because, I'm a person that's come out of the entertainment industry. I'm so grateful I've been saved, chosen, that he has found me. But I still got the attributes of a show-off. I suppose if I didn't have, I wouldn't even post a thing like that. But the reason I'm in them underpants, because them's my underpants. And the reason I'm doing that baptism, because I love Jesus. Praise Jesus Christ. Let me know in the comments what you think, particularly about Philippians. As long as we're directing people towards our Lord and Saviour, how can we fail? I suppose if I didn't have, I wouldn't.
Interesting, Russell. That's good. Yeah, we can pause it right there with that weird face. Well, I had thoughts. Where did they go? I don't know. We'll see what happens with Russell in 2 years. Yeah. Okay. So here was my thought. Actually, is Russell's a bit of a joker. He's a bit of a fool, as we all are, and that's something about kind of I about modern Christianity. I'll just use that's kind of a generic term, but sort of modern post-Enlightenment evangelical Christianity that I've always thought, God, we're so trying to be like not foolish. Why are we trying to be so not foolish? This doesn't seem to make sense. We are kind of foolish. There's no reason to deny that. We are kind of hypocrites. There's no reason to deny that. The thing is, when you try to tell somebody to live in a way that you're not, when the gospel that you preach is not consistent with the life that you're living, and you don't own up to that, the church that I'm a part of, we have T-shirts that say "imperfect" on them. We sort of wear that and let people know that they don't have to be perfect to show up to church. You don't have to take a shower before you take a bath, as my old youth pastor used to say. You don't have to have it all together. And when the church portrays that, it unfortunately excludes the sort of the orphan and the widow and the leper and the prostitute and the people that came into contact with Jesus. It was the religious leaders that got into fights with him, right? I mean, let's not forget that. But it was Grizz who I think sort of pointed this out, and I don't know. Okay, Grizz is still here. Oh, if it's all public, yeah. Well, okay. Here was the other thing. I think so. Grizz is saying that this. So the people on the not that one, this one. There's people in the crowd. And to Grizz's point, and again, this is the communion of the saints. So we have to listen to Grizz, even if we disagree with him, that these are the sheep, and that what you have is a wolf in sheep's clothing and a joker. I thought, Grizz, that was poetic. It was a poetic moment, right? Because Jordan Peterson is sort of in his Joker outfit. So sheep. So we have sheep. We have the wolf in sheep's clothing, and then we have the joker. But we started with this, whether for good or for ill, if the gospel is being preached, for that I rejoice. Maybe it is just foolishness. Maybe that's that's where the Holy Spirit moves. He moves. It's the foolish things of the world that confound the wise. That has been a theme ever since this Chris DeStefano video 2 months ago. Because Chris is talking to Joe Rogan. He's clearly like not super sophisticated presentation of who Jesus is, and I love it. I think that's great. He's a bit of a yeah, interesting. I would say, and I guess I didn't get to this. I'll get maybe next live stream. I'm gonna go with. I'm on the fence. If these were wolves, if his T-shirt was literally a pattern of wolves, I'd go with wolf in sheep's clothing. I'd say he's giving us the signals. But ultimately, I think Russell is somewhat harmless. I think wolves do harm. I think he's a baby sheep trying to put on maybe big sheep clothes, if anything. When you baptize somebody in your underwear and you get all the attention for it, but this other guy's in his underwear. I'm assuming that's the pastor. I'm assuming that's the guy with the sort of church authority or whatever it might be to, administer the sacrament. And he's in his underwear too. Why doesn't everybody say, hey, if this guy's a pastor, why is he stripped down into his underwear? Everybody, you got to take it out on Russell, who doesn't know any better. He's just following the example of, and I'm assuming that this is the pastor here doing the baptism, and Russell, the friend, is helping with the baptism. Well, the pastor's in his underwear also. So are we okay with that? I'm okay with it. Like, what are we if we're not willing to baptize people in our underwear? We're taking ourselves way too seriously. That's what we are. So, that's where I have to land the plane. Thank you guys for hanging out. I got to go make sure my kids settle in. And again, I will be back for kind of a sort of a short-ish members-only live stream. It's going to be it's something that's sort of troubling for me, so I don't know how it will come out. And so that's why I'm sort of I'm using the members-only live stream as sort of a place for me to think out loud. Shout out to Christian Baxter. But this, it'll be a little bit more of a heavy atmosphere there, because there's some real catastrophe going on in the world. And I thought these guys on the Unashamed podcast, shout out to these guys. I thought they did a good job. One of these guys, Zach, is actually in the area that was really heavily affected. If you know nearby where Jordan Hall is, I think McMo is in that area. There was a few. I have some friends who recently moved from California. I literally said the name McMo, and look who shows up in the chat. Now, of course, I think I'm on a little bit of a delay. Okay, well, on my version of reality, I know the delay. You guys will get it with the delay, and I apologize for that. But I said the words McMo, and I looked up, and there he was. So that was my version of reality. But these guys were in the thick of it, and I just want to talk about that from the standpoint of kind of the church. What do we do? Who are we? What are we? Have we outsourced the role and the responsibility of the church to other agencies? And I think maybe we have. So, Grizz, I'm glad you'll get a chance to check that out, and you can give me your feedback. So many Christians who have a platform just look to me like toddlers trying to walk like their dads. And I think that's St. Paul's definition of maturity in the faith. Okay. I think that there's something to that, though, also, Risen. And is it interesting? Are we in a unique place that we can see it because it's online, right? We're seeing people mature in their faith. And isn't it out of the mouth of babes comes the truth? This is what Jesus said, right? It's the foolish things of the world that confound the wise. Now, I'm not saying that Russel Brand needs to become a spiritual mentor to us all or something like that. No, certainly not what I'm saying. but that we have this unique glimpse into what's going on in this world, and so it would just be, it will be really interesting. But I agree. I think that what we're seeing is that immaturity. But what we'll hopefully see, and again, this is where, how do you judge a tree? You judge a tree by its fruit. I probably should have said that at the beginning of this live stream, but I don't think I actually finally got around to it. But it's like, we're in digital space. How do we judge the fruit of somebody when we're not in embodied space? We're not in personal space with them. But maybe the fruit will be seeing the maturity. I don't know. I mean, somebody like Chris Williamson, who came off, I don't know where he is right now, but it was 6 months ago, he talked about how he started going to church on his podcast. Now, he has a very sort of like a more sort of refined and sophisticated way of talking, so he might come off as being more mature. Russel Brand and others maybe come off as being a little bit of a joker, because they're comedians, and they are jokers. McMo, how do I gift, dude, I want to gift you. I'd love for you to see this, McMo. I'm going to do a little chat on, maybe if you're hanging around, maybe we could jump on together. I don't know. That's a big ask, but, man, the stuff in Asheville, is just tearing me up. So, man, I think I just need to sort of get some stuff off my chest. Maybe we'll see. But anyway, I do need to go take care of my kids, and man, I'm sorry. I hope that McMo, I hope you and Jordan Hall can connect. I'm really glad to hear that you guys are doing all right. I'm really glad. So with that, you guys let me know what you think. Russell, the curious case of the Christian Russel Brand, and I don't have any branding to take us away, so I will just catch you guys in the next one. Yeah. Well, and to Risen's point, like, we're figuring it out together online in a way that we wouldn't be able to in the past, right? What we would have gotten, and this goes back to one of the posts, and I'm sorry, I know I just said I was going to shut it down, but I saw the message come through. This goes back to one of the things Russell was talking about at the very beginning, of like, what denomination from what angle do you approach the person of Jesus, right? And there he is upside down. But earlier, he's pulling apart the tulip or whatever it was. Which
church, a church where they do,
which expression of Christianity is it? And early on, I mean, essentially what I got in my when I became a Christian, essentially I got one expression of what Christianity is, because I had one church that I went to. I had one congregation that demonstrated who Christ was and what it meant to be a Christian. But now I have all kinds of examples around me. Now, are they digital examples? Yes, which is not as high resolution, let's say, as in person. But it is something. It is a wider swathe. Let me see if I can find this branding, and then I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you. This is sort of a little bit cringe for me, but I'll let it live and let live. Yeah, man. Good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I should have realized, you're not going to be able to hop on, man. I don't know why I'm saying that. All right, so Risen main point: when someone takes themselves too seriously in faith, they're most likely a toddler. Okay, yes. I'm not sure there are many saints who are able to handle a 3-course meal. Most of us are still on milk. What do you guys think? I think there's something to that. I think the church and when I say the church, I do mean the visible church, the sort of more institutional church, has been giving people a diet of milk. I don't think we're having that solid food. I wonder if we might take some steps here, though, and be able to tolerate a wider variety of food, okay? Now, that's going to sound synchronistic or whatever that I'm saying, pull in all these different elements from different faiths or something like that. No, but I think that it's more like what I was saying earlier, that my vision of what being a Christian is no longer shaped by one congregation. It's shaped by a congregation of congregations. In the book of Revelation, there's 7 churches that are being addressed, right? There's this almost like a church of churches, and that, I think there's something to that. We're better off when we can work together like that. So, with that, I'm going to play us out, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Here we are. We're kind of setting the foundation for this podcast. Welcome if you're new. The idea of God as Father is pretty common today, but were there giants of the ancient past recorded in the book of Genesis? Are there going to be giants returning in some apocalyptic future recorded in the book of Revelation? Transcendent, up and out. How's it going, everybody? I was given the opportunity to preach a sermon, and ahoy! I'm a little early, so I'm just kind of chilling for a second. Like I was saying, I was all right, man. I'm gonna take a moment. I'm gonna kind of slow down my day. Alrighty. Let's see. I'm gonna double check that we have communication to the mothership here. Alrighty. There we go.